Here we go. Hello. Hello. Good evening.
You all right, mate? How's it going?
I'm doing well. Welcome to Meet the GM. Yeah, so it's nice to meet you. You can call me Kelly, my pork belly or pork. A lot of people call me pork. Either one is okay, but Kelly is perfect.
Great username. Great username.
Yeah, I love it. So I have a belly to match it as well. So have you been able to catch any of the preseason matches?
Yeah. I've just come home from Turkey last weekend, but I was up at like 6 a.m, led in bed watching the Seahawks preseason game. So that was good.
Nice. Yeah, I live in the Philippines, so I have to either wake up at 2 a.m. or stay awake the entire night to watch a football game over here. But
that's horrible.
Yeah, after a few beers, it's okay. It's much easier to stay awake.
Yeah, well, I don't know actually. After a few beers, I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem if I have too many. So, when did you start watching the NFL, or what?
In 2010, it was proper British mentality towards the NFL because my brother got me into it. He's been following the Seahawks since 2005, and I really wanted to go to America. He really wanted to go to America, but he really wanted to go to Seattle. He wanted to go and watch a game. So we were like, right, let's do 2 weeks. And I was just like typical young British mentality of like American football going, oh, it's soft rugby. They wear pads, they hit hard, but rugby, they don't wear pads and all this stuff, giving it the big one. And then we went to America. We first went into Chicago during Thanksgiving, and obviously all the games are on, and you sat there and you're absorbing it in the sports bars with 25,000 screens full of college and American football. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I actually quite like this. I'm not going to give my brother the satisfaction to say that I actually like this. So right. I was just going along with, oh, shit. Oh, sorry if you're not allowed to swear. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then we went to Seattle, went on a game, and this one fellow, we were right up in the nosebleeds. It was freezing cold, and I was just like, oh, can't be asked for this. But this one guy spent 3 hours explaining the whole game to me. And after that, I started watching it. I was like, do you know what? I actually quite like this. It intrigues me. So then from that point, I just got more and more into it.
So have you ever attended any of the games they've had in London or overseas?
Yeah, I went to the Seahawks Raiders game in 2018. Went to, what else did I go to? I went to the Falcons Jets game with my mate. I don't remember any of that. I just remember one Cordell Patterson breakout run for a touchdown because we just got that drunk. We just couldn't remember any of the game. And then last year, I went to watch the Jags Broncos with my wife. So that was always good to laugh at Russ.
So how did Trevor look in person?
At that part of the season, I feel like he only clicked towards the back end of the season. I think at that point he did some nice things, and you saw why everyone thought he had the talent they were expecting. But he made some he in that game, I think if I remember rightly, he made some just bonehead mistakes.
So you mentioned Danger Russ, and it's a very interesting situation in Denver. While he was in Seattle, many people around the NFL kept saying overrated, overrated, overrated. So who do you think is the most overrated player in the NFL?
There's quite a few. There's quite a few. I think the most overrated for just recency bias hype, I think, has got to be Brock Purdy, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I honestly, I was on a pod last night and we were talking about him, and I just have a feeling that when you give him a full playbook, like you're hearing already in camp reports, I know you can't read everything into a camp report, but you're hearing like he's thrown something like 12 interceptions in camp, and he's not been in camp long. So that's one. His arm might not be fully back, but I read that as because of what he did last year, Kyle Shanahan kind of has to give him the playbook. And now he's actually got the full playbook. He actually can't handle the playbook, and that's why he was a 7th-round pick. He's not the second coming of Tom Brady, where everyone slept on him and he's this miracle guy. I think he had reins put on him last year. He had CMC, and
that's right.
He worked in a Kyle Shanahan. We've seen it so many times. Jimmy G is a terrible quarterback, and Kyle Shanahan made him look great some games. Like Kyle Shanahan has that ability, but then the next year, you give Jimmy G a bit more rope. And you know what I mean? And I just think Purdy's going to go that way. So for overrated at the moment, him. Another one I'd say is up there on my list is Kyler Murray. I don't think he's as great as... I don't think he's as... Yeah, I don't think he's as great as the general consensus think he is. Like, while he can run, he can throw a few passes together, but he's small and he's shown and proven that his body can't handle the NFL. So,
would you say that? Well, let me ask you this: who is the most underrated player then, on the opposite side?
It's hard to kind of say, because like I do watch, like I like keeping track of all of the NFL, but I don't watch, enough other teams to, say that wide receiver is kind of slept on. But without sounding too biased, Tyler Lockett, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated guys in the whole league, and he's underrated by his own fan base and his own fan base, because in my opinion, he is the wide receiver one of this team.
I'm a huge Lockett fan. I think he has been underrated for many years. Actually, I was going to go with another wide receiver, Mike Evans. I think 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's like in the top 5 or he's the number 2 active player in yards and touchdowns, I believe. It's amazing. He's already got an amazing career, and no one appreciates Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, all the press.
See, at first I was like, is he underrated? But I do see where you're coming from, because it's a bit like, because he's done it so many times, and like my thing with the NFL as a whole and us as NFL supporters is we're like goldfish. I always have that like example for NFL fans. They're like goldfish. Like, it doesn't matter what someone's done consistently, like a Tyler Lockett, like a Mike Evans. The memory's so short. It's like, oh, but Justin Jefferson did a one-hand catch against the Bills, and he's the greatest thing to ever grace a football field. Right. It's like, he's good, but give it a rest, mate. Like, I do get it, but I think it's just because he's done it for so long now. It's like, all right, yeah, we know you can do that. You don't impress us anymore, kind of thing. And I think that's just why these kind of players get underrated. I'm trying to think of anyone else. I'm trying to think.
While you're thinking, it always amazes me for how many years people would choose Beckham, OBJ over Mike Evans. And if you perhaps look at OBJ's breakout seasons, not a comparison. But if you look at their career, it's not even close. Who's had the better career? So, these are the questions I love, thinking about underrated and overrated. And if you actually hit, it makes your fantasy team shine. What makes you love fantasy football so much?
To be honest, I've only got into fantasy football the last 5 years. My brother tried getting me into it a good couple of years ago, and I was just like, "Oh no, I'm just trying to get into the actual sport itself." So I kind of put it on the back burner. But then, just one season, I thought, I'm going to give it a go. I don't know. I think for me, it's the overall. It gives you that the excitement on a Sunday, because you're following all these other teams,
right?
But compared to like Americans, who it's their sport, they've grown up and they breathe it and like live it. It's like over here, like me anyway. Like I just think as UK fans, we watch the sport as a whole. Anyway, we have our teams, but we'll watch any American football because. Like it's not on our doorstep. It's not like our football where you can go to the stadium every single week and you can absorb the atmosphere. So you're always trying to absorb as much NFL atmosphere as you possibly can. But it does help with that element of like the excitement of watching Red Zone and who's like, how your player's going to go off and this, that, and the other. But I think the thing I love the most about it is you get to meet. Like I love meeting new people. I love like meeting people like yourself in the Philippines. Like just meeting people in random places and just being like, oh right, that's just getting to know new people. I think that's why I like it so much, because like Johnny will be in the background probably laughing because last year I was in 63 leagues and I was in I'd say at least 3/4 of them leagues were because I met Johnny, I think it was last season, in a league. We got talking, and then it was, I've got this league, do you want to join it? I've got this league, do you want to join it? And then, because I was getting into it more, and I was like, yeah, just send us anything. Next minute, I'm in everything. But I loved it because you join all these different leagues, and you're meeting all these different people, and like you're realizing like what, like all over the UK, all these people, and then you bump into a guy in like a random state in America, and that's the kind of side I really enjoy about it the most, like the community. Would you say?
I agree. I've met people in Malaysia, Indonesia, as you said, lots of English fans. It's that's what I love about Sleeper. It brings us all together in the chat and so forth. So how do you feel about your Orkney Bowl team this year?
I'll have to get it up. I listened to Josh's, Johnny, not Josh, what am I talking about? Johnny's rundown of my league, and he didn't give me any praise, so I'm just going to go and he's got it up here. Do you know what? I've just got to say how professional this podcast is. He's got everything going on here. Do you know what? I was quite happy with my with my picks, to be quite honest. The thing I love about this setup in this league is the having the IDP, having the defensive players in there really threw a lot of people, because not a lot of people played that format, and they're like, oh, do I go for this? Do I go for that? And you just saw people were taking the popular defensive names, but really, the defensive positions don't really work like that. Like, it's not always the big star names. So, like, I was quite happy because people were jumping high on these defensive players, and they was leaving just these big names still out there in these rounds. I thought that's a steal. But looking at it now, I've got it up, and
you're talking about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I look at it, and if I'm being totally honest, I'd say it's very boom or bust. It's got the potential to really go up, but it's got the potential to really go down a little.
Yeah, I see some good names with a lot of, in the right situation, these guys could legitimately hit. Singletary, you never know what's going to happen down there.
Yeah, I'm quite bullish on Singletary because I think everyone's got blinkers on the Dameon Pierce.
I have a question.
Dameon Pierce season last year, and you don't pay Singletary that much if he's just going to be used as a bit part.
That's right. Actually, talking about the IDP, I drafted Bosa in the 8th round. Talk about a wasted pick.
Which one, Nick or
the player of the? I've already released him, so I mean,
was it Nick or Joey?
The one that won the defensive player. I think it was the trainer. Yeah.
Joey.
And I always get them mixed up as well. But,
I always get them mixed up because I think I've just been confident and know which one I was talking about, and now I don't think I know which one I'm talking about.
I don't know which one. I think the Charger is better. I think, but I can't. But he's always injured.
Oh, the Niners one is the one who won Defensive Player.
Yes,
I'm sure. I think
I've already released him. I mean, you can get a third string linebacker that will get you more points.
Yeah.
So, why would I draft Bosa? It made no sense.
But this is it. Like, I don't think it wasn't in this league. I picked him up, but I was in another IDP league, and I picked up Micah Parsons like late. Like last year, I did I did a couple of IDPs for the first time, and like your players like Nick Bolton, I found that linebackers hit the most in that spot.
I agree. I was reading what Luke said here. You always rely on Luke to tell you the truth.
The issue with them Bosa brothers is, like you said, though, you hit on it there, is the injuries. Now, you get the Chargers Bosa and he stays healthy, then he could be the best IDP player this year. But
right.
I find that the linebackers are where you generate the most points in that position.
Luke, the guy that just commented, he gave me the same advice. Stock on linebackers. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You can give me one name, and then I will move to the next question. Okay?
Right. Go on then.
Quick hit. All right. First one. Give me your most surefire lock this year in fantasy football.
Oh God, I've got to say Justin Jefferson. I think
JJ. All right. I was expecting Pat Mahomes. Excellent. All right.
I was thinking Pat Mahomes, but Travis Kelce, Johnny. First year he's been put into the first round of fantasy. This is the year Travis Kelce's wheels fall off because of us.
Yeah, y'all.
We're taking him down single-handedly.
All right. So when I say bust, I mean a player that is consistently drafted in the first 3 rounds. All right?
Yep.
What is your most surefire bust? Stay away from. Do not draft. That is always drafted in the first 3 rounds.
For this year, the first player that springs to mind is Jonathan Taylor. But then, can he really be a bust because he didn't do that well last year? So then, I think it's because he's burnt me in the past, but I want to say CMC. I just feel like everyone's bought back in, everyone's got back on the train, and he's going to go straight in the brick wall and take everyone with him. Like, I just have this feeling he's just,
Half the season.
Yeah, like I was first overall in my home league, and it was Justin Jefferson or CMC, and I just couldn't do it. I was just like, no. I honestly think he's got everyone back on that train. All the seats are full, and he's going to kill everyone. He's going to take them all down with him.
I'm with you on the CMC train. I think that I don't think that necessarily he's overhyped, but I do think that he gets injured way too often. But sometimes that's not his fault. All right, so last one.
Go on then.
Who's your favorite sleeper?
Until
you mentioned Devin Singletary earlier, so maybe
no, because I think there's a situation there with Stroud and the all the question marks. I just can't buy him into it as a sleeper. I think. Oh man. Do you know what I'm going to say as a sleeper, actually? A sleeper who I've drafted quite a bit at quarterback is Jordan Love.
I agree with you in the quarterback. Yes, definitely. Jordan Love, I think, might be a lot better than people expect.
Yeah, I think he'll be a quarterback at the end of the year where everyone turn around and just be like, oh. He'll be like the
top 5, but I can see him in the top 10 scoring.
Oh, top 10, definitely. Not top 5. He'll be this year's Justin Fields for me. You could have drafted him Elijah Moore. I love Elijah Moore. I really wanted, for how cheap the Browns got him, I really wish the Seahawks went in and got him. But the injuries are a question mark for me. Can the Browns put it together?
The Browns are always a question mark. Has to be. I feel sorry for the fan base so much.
Yeah.
That has to be. And prior to the Burrow, the Bengals. What is it about the Ohio teams that want to hurt their fan base? I mean, the Browns.
Well, it looks like the Bengals have got it together now. It looks like they've got a nice little formula there for success. But
they're actually spending money, which is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So this next part is called hit or miss. You tell me if I'm hitting the target or if I'm missing the target and had too many Guinnesses.
Right. Okay. Right.
Here we go. Anthony Richardson will win Rookie of the Year.
Miss.
None of these running backs will rush for over 1,000 yards this year, starting with Dameon Pierce, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard.
None of these will rush for over. Miss, because I think Josh Jacobs will come back eventually, because I think he's been very tactical. He's staying away for the whole of pre-season. He'll come back before week 1, and then they'll run the wheels off him, and I think he'll hit over 1,000. I think Pollard probably get injured by the end of the season. Dameon Pierce, I think he's going to get held back by Singletary. So yeah, I think 1 or 2 there will still hit over 1,000, but so yeah, I'll say a miss.
1 or 2. I can see Josh Jacobs, maybe Pollard. I'm interested. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm interested to see how he comes back from his injury. All right.
I'm not concerned with that because they've got really no backup, and that injury to just say, oh yeah, he's full go. It's like, is he full go?
It's gonna be Deuce season. Deuce Vaughn, man. Deuce Vaughn.
Sleeper right there. Love it.
That's sleeper right there. All right. Hit or miss. The Rams will make the playoffs.
No.
Miss. All right. The Jets will miss the playoffs.
I'd love to say hit just because it's fun to laugh at
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, but that defense will drag them. That defense will drag them over a line. I think. I think they've just got too much depth everywhere. I reckon. I reckon they'll win this year.
Yeah, I was really pulling for the Jets until they got Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not a Rodgers fan. All right, last one. Well, I got two more actually. Patrick Mahomes, hit or miss, will win his third MVP.
It's I want to say hit because I'm just trying to think of all the other situations going on, but I'm going to say miss. I'm going to say miss. Yeah, I'll say miss. I'll say miss.
All right, last one. Now, I know you are a Seahawks fan, eating your pizza and wings. But if you hit or miss, if you had to say, CMC will miss half the season.
Hit.
I agree with that one. All right, so let me take a little question. Okay, so I am going to change up my last question. I find it interesting that you have chosen Bobby Wagner as your player that most resembles you. And now that I see you, I get it. Yeah, I can see you stacked up, on the other side of the ball. I played tight end when I did play football back in the day. So, yeah, you and I would be butting heads a few times, I'm sure. And there it is, Bobby Wagner, your favorite player. So Bobby Wagner, he attacks the game with intensity. So when you look at your fantasy football team, what do you think is the most important key in winning a football championship? Is it skill or is it luck? And if it is skill, then what is the most important thing?
Do you know what, for me,
doing?
I'll answer it like this because it's for me, it's a bit of both. The skill is the draft, picking the right players, because like you're in a 12-man league. If you absolutely stink in your draft, there's not much on the waiver. You're hoping for a sleeper breakout, like what you can snatch. But I do think there's a hell of a lot of luck, like injuries. But I think the biggest luck out of it all is setting your lineup every week. You've got so much, that's my biggest struggle. Like in bigger leagues, I'm so much better because there's not so many players, but smaller leagues, because I listen to a lot of fantasy and read a lot of fantasy, I want all these big hype players I see. And then it comes to game day, I'm like, I'm like, what? Who am I picking? And then the guy with 30 points is on my bench. And then the guy who I chose over him has got 3 because he got injured. So, yeah, for me, luck plays a massive part in it. But I don't think it's luck with so much injury. I think it's more luck with picking your lineup. I know there is a lot of common sense in it, but I think depending how deep your team is, there's a lot of luck in there. Like, trying to get the right player in. Bit me in the ass so many times.
I agree. So many times last year, I left the number 1 scoring player of the week on my bench. And it was I'm like, how can I do this so many times?
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I have a lot more questions that I want to ask you here, but I don't want it to get too long. I know that you're drinking your Guinness there. Your weekend has started.
You can carry on as long as you want, mate.
I'll ask you a question here. So, there's something that I'm always interested in. I see Luke commenting here. Luke and I are in a lot of leagues with Johnny, and I have taken over several orphan teams that had one or two star players, like maybe Josh Allen, but the running backs were someone like Raheem Mostert and Jeff McKinnon, which is okay, but you're not winning a championship with that. So I would trade Josh Allen for a couple of number one draft picks, effectively tanking my team. Now, I'm not saying not playing players or playing the worst players, but trading your best for draft picks, tanking your team. Is it acceptable or not in fantasy football?
Well, yeah, it's part of the game, isn't it?
I think so.
Part of the game. If you don't, you're just trying to be like league friendly, and then you're in a 12-man league. The other 11 players aren't being league friendly. They're thinking about themselves and wanting to win. So like you're like, oh, I'm not going to tank because it's like could do someone else out of a playoff spot if I let that other guy win. Well, fuck it. Like you've got to think about yourself. You've got to get your own team right. Like, so I agree. Like last year, I went Dynasty, something I've picked up last year mainly. So I'm still getting my head around it all. But yeah, I was in a Superflex Dynasty league. Wasn't really paying attention to it. Had my two quarterbacks. Only drafted two quarterbacks, not thinking about the bye week. And ended up one of them got benched, so I ended up with one quarterback and just got dummied every single week. I didn't even look at that league. It's like number one pick. Thank you very much.
Now I see that you just traded. You had a trade with McGee here, a 1.01 and a 2024 first. Did you get the picks, or did you get Fields, Pickett, and Collins?
I think I got the Fields, Pickett, and Collins.
I am saying, I'm going on the record now. If you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said Kendra Miller. But I'm going with George Pickens, wide receiver, Pittsburgh, as my sleeper of the year. I think he's going to be pushing top 5 this year. Pittsburgh always churned out top 5 wide receivers.
Do you not think, though, because all these fancy plays I keep seeing him doing in training camp, he's just all over the defender. Like he's grabby. I think he'll just get OPI to death in an actual game with a lot of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, the ability is really good, but I just think he's going to suffer with a lot of OPIs. He's very handsy with like his defenders and stuff.
Certainly, but that's part of growing up, right? You know, he's a rookie last year. Hopefully he's learned a few things. I can remember when Michael Irvin started his rookie year. It was solid, but he was making mistakes every game. As a matter of fact, a lot of Cowboy fans were saying, I think Irving's a bust. We should trade him. And he turned out to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know. I'm not a huge Pittsburgh fan. Being a Cowboy fan, of course, I have natural hatred towards the Eagles and the Giants. Sorry, Johnny. And the Niners, of course. I hate the Niners. I'm on that train.
Oh, yes.
You just that rivalry was great. Yeah. All right, Pez. Let's stop it here. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope one day you and I can be in a league together. Maybe it will happen this season. We'll get Luke to start us a league and invite.
Yeah, we'll just set one up.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Great talking with you, sir. Have a great evening. Yeah.
Hi there. Just put her in for a second. You didn't ask the GM question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Who do you think are the best players to never win a Super Bowl?
So Johnny passed this question on to me, and because my history of the wider NFL isn't that strong. I kind of just went safe, and I went with well-known players, and I just went with Randy Moss and Barry Sanders because, like, two of the best to do it at their positions, and I just think it's kind of criminal they didn't end up actually winning, like, getting a ring for themselves. I know there's like multiple other names and people might like start chucking out names left, right, and centre, but some of them I might look at and just genuinely be like, I don't have a clue who that guy is. So
my knee jerk was Dan Marino.
I did see Dan Marino, but I thought that's too obvious. That's too safe. I thought like these two are safe, but Dan Marino's like he was the closest one to it.
I think the Barry Sanders choice is the right choice. Like it was a knee jerk. Everyone always talks about Dan Marino, but I think Barry Sanders is the right choice. Certainly. Yeah, I remember watching him and Emmett duel. Those were classics, man. I loved it. All right, so Johnny, he is supposed to ask a question for the next.
I have it on my phone, but I'll let him ask, and I'll disappear off the screen again. But I thought I'd pop in for that one. It's a good show, by the way. I'm enjoying it. So.
Thank you.
We can always carry on, Johnny, if you're enjoying it. I love talking.
Fine by me. In fairness, you haven't even asked the questions I made up the bloody presentation for. That's the fun part.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, I was going to have. I thought you would have them pop up, and then I was going to bring them. So it says you like pizza and wings. So that you would eat during the Super Bowl. What type of wings do you like, and what sauce do you eat the wings with?
The wings one. So the funny thing is about it is I just go to like a local pub, and obviously Americans, they just put wings on. So like it's whatever they have on, like barbecue wings, buffalo wings. Like I'm not fussy. I just eat meat, like any meat. So when it comes to wings, I'm not overly fussy. But pizza's my number one. Like I love pizza.
My favorite food. I can eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever.
I'm half Italian, and I think it's just in my blood. If I don't have a pizza a week, I find myself getting agitated that I've not had pizza that week. So I always have to fit at least a pizza in.
Yeah, I feel you. I love pizza. Now I'm a pepperoni and mushroom guy. Fairly simple. Just pepperoni and mushroom. I'm good. Thin crust.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say pepperoni with the mushroom. That's an interesting one.
What toppings do you have?
Do you know what? It just varies. Like sometimes I just love a nice cheese and tomato pizza. I love just a plain margarita, nice cheesy, the sauce, and then I'll go to like a meat feast, get the pepperoni, salami, ham, sausage, that Nurja, that new spicy sausage, what everyone like. I don't know if it's as hyped up in the Philippines as it is like in the UK, but it's like the new fancy thing to have on your pizza. But I go as far as having goat's cheese and spinach on a pizza. I'll eat any pizza except for vegetarian. Like that's a sin. That's just pepperoni and pineapple.
Oh my gosh.
Pepperoni and pineapple.
Pineapple.
Can we add him in? I want to know what the hell that's about.
People are getting a little creative with their pizza toppings. I agree with you. In Thailand, they put shrimp and salmon on a pizza.
Love that. Look, I love that.
I just cannot do it. I cannot do it. Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to get chicken, prawns, parma ham, and sweet chili sauce on top of a pizza.
I can do all that. Maybe the prawns. I don't know. Maybe I'll try shrimp on a pizza one day. So Big G over here asked, "Where's the best place to get a pizza in the UK?"
That's hard. I'll be biased. My brother's wife, their family owns Burnley. Give it a rest, Luke. Look if it's edible.
Burnley.
Yeah, my brother's local to me. My brother's wife's family, they have a little Italian restaurant in a town near me, and their pizzas are bang on. But it's hard because if you're talking chains, I don't really have Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's, like the chains in this country. I'd rather go to a nice Italian restaurant and get a proper decent pizza.
I love Italian food. I love it.
Oh,
Pasta dishes, anyway. I love it. So earlier, I asked you hit or miss. Anthony Richardson, Rookie of the Year, and you said miss emphatically, right away, without even hesitating. So who is your Rookie of the Year?
JSM.
JSM, really?
I went on a podcast yesterday. They were asked me to come on to do a NFC West podcast, and I was as bold as saying it, and I even shocked myself when I came out and said it, but I backed myself because I think it's true. I think JSN, there has been injury concerns with him, but he stays healthy, and I think I personally think, and this is non-biased, I just love the player. I think he already cements himself as one of the best slot receivers in the league. You watch him, like, obviously as a Seahawks fan, I do watch it, but you see him in training camp, you see him in preseason, you see how they treat him as a player. And in Seattle, they never really give like young guys veteran treatment, but he does get treated already like he is a year 2, year 3 guy. He's been given that respect because, and like I like listening to Tyler when he speaks because he speaks so true, and how he speaks about JSN in the preseason and training camp, the vibes are looking good, man, and that makes all that just like this whole just going for a bit of a tangent with it is I feel like he will get that title solely because Geno loves throwing over the middle of the field. Our downfall with Geno last year, a lot of his mess ups were in the middle of the field.
Right.
A lot of his picks and stuff were the middle of the field because he's actually quite comfortable throwing there. Now you've just picked up the best guy to come out of college in the last couple of years to play the middle of the field.
Yeah, I'm looking for big things for him. I have him on several teams. The one guy that I've been reading about out of the Seahawks camp, though, is McIntosh. He seems to be lighting it on fire until he's injured.
Do you know what the shame about because I picked him up in a lot of leagues after seeing like when he got like the first reps when Charbonnet and Kem were injured. I picked him up in quite a lot of leagues, but he's kind of with him picking up this injury, it's kind of dampened the fire what he could have created for himself.
Justin Ross.
People need to remember he's a 2-time national champion. He doesn't. You listen to him in interviews, you see how he walks around in the like training camp in the videos and stuff. He doesn't act like a 7th rounder, like he's scared of losing his spot. He acts like he was Zach Charbonnet. He's like, no, I'm here. I'm set here. Like I'm not the 7th round on the bubble. I am here. Like as the new quote is, I am him kind of thing. That's the swag he brings, and I truly believe it. I think he's injury 2 away from just proving like he's nowhere near should have been a 7th round pick. I think like that could be.
He's looking good. He's looking good. I've read nothing but good things. And Sam Darnold, which brings me the question because Rich Eisen is talking up Sam Darnold. He's not saying he should be the starter, and he will repeat that. He's just saying Sam Darnold is looking good, which brings me to ask you as a Seahawks fan, what team do you hate the most?
Well, the Niners.
Yeah.
I hate them. Just because obviously I started following since 2010, and it wasn't long obviously until Pete came in, and then the rivalry and like Sherm and the NFC Championship. Yeah, they're just assholes, man.
All right, Pez. This time I am going to have to wrap it up. I got a class. I'm about to start my day today, and I have a class at 6 a.m. with some private students. So I'm going to have to get off here as well. So it was nice to meet you, sir. As I said before, I would love to be in a league with you. And
We'll get one sorted up. We'll get one sorted out with Johnny. We'll set one up, even if it's a best ball for this year.
As well.
We'll get one sorted out before the start of the league. I'll leave you with this though, for everyone who's everyone who's listening. In the top 3 rounds, the player I think who's going to shock everyone the most, and he's going to be one of the best running backs this year, is Ken Walker.
Ken Walker, really?
All these people who are scared to draft him because of Zach Charbonnet, I think Zach Charbonnet's not going to beat him out because Ken is the better talent. Ken's the better running back. I think Zach Charbonnet is going to make him even better.
Yeah, I've been reading that Carroll thinks that Walker is a bit injury prone, or he has that makeup that he gets injured, or he will.
No, he's not come out and said that. He's come out more and said, the thing is, right, stories like have come to light, but if anything, it shows how much confidence they have in him as a player because they've rested him. He got cleared by doctors weeks ago, but they decided not to activate him or let him practice because they know what they've got with him. I'm very bullish. Like Johnny said, I love Ken Walker. I loved him coming out of college. I just think last year he needed a Zach Charbonnet because really he had no running backs behind. He had to do it all by himself. Now Zach Charbonnet, that's not me saying Zach Charbonnet is like a shit player because he's really good in his own right. But what he's really good at is going to create such great production for Ken, in my opinion. I'm very bullish on it.
Yeah, I loved Walker last year. I've stayed away from him this year. I don't know why, but I have. Of course, I have 27 teams and I win only 3 championships a year. So my percentages are not good.
My season, most of my leagues are going to be like the GIF of the Titanic sinking because I draft Ken. I'm on the ship. And I'm going down with it. If he takes me down, I'll happily go down with a smile.
I've got the Kendra Miller in almost every single one of my leagues, and now I'm thinking he might be a bust. I don't know. Anyway, man, it's been great fun, man. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Great chatting to you.
Season reunion. Thank you, sir.
See you later, mate.
Thank you for allowing me to come on here and be a guest host. It's been a lot of fun.
You're more than welcome. It's been a fun watch.
Yeah.
And thank you for running the show. It's been nice sitting in the background, reading all the comments and putting up the lovely slide there for Pez. I thought you'd appreciate the pissing on the 49ers. No doubt I get a lot of grief from Doug and Gary when they watch it, but hey, it's fun making it. But thank you for doing the show. And
thank you, sir.
Till next time.
Cheers for having me on.
I've just sent you a message. If you read your phone, just stay on until you've uploaded, then I can tinker about with it another time. So thank you for watching, and it's been good seeing all the chat. It's probably the most chat we've had in a game yet.
Yeah,
nice.
Made it fun.
And that's not been Craig getting slag. That'll be happening when the season starts. But we're doing a draft recap on Sunday about 7 o'clock before the auction dynasty, and I think we're actually going to stream that live. So even if you're not in and you want to give it a watch, an auction draft is fun to do, so I imagine it's pretty fun to watch as well. So if you want to watch that, but anyway, thank you guys, and good night, Pez, and good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, everyone. Have a great evening. Enjoy the beer. I'm going to be drinking the beer later today.
Bye now.
I'll be sending out trade requests later.